Welcome back to the Footnotes Podcast, the short-form show with an aim to grow our mentality in running. Whether you're tuning in for the first time or a returning listener, be sure to follow or leave a review. It's a great way to get these messages to new ears. It's been a while since we wrapped up Season 1. After exploring all kinds of ways to improve our mindset, it's time we reached out to see what others have to say about the topic of running mentality. Today, I'm thrilled to have a special guest with us, someone who knows the road of personal growth and running mentality. Joining us today is Alyssa Dorn, a distance runner from Northwood University. Her journey is not just about the miles she covers, but the mental terrain she conquers along the way. So whether you're a seasoned runner or just starting to hit the pavement, join us as we explore the footnotes of running, where we grow in mental strength, positive habits, and overall health and wellness. Alyssa, it's a pleasure to have you here. I've been really looking forward to the start of Season 2 of our podcast, and I'm definitely excited to have you as our very first guest.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into your running journey. What initially inspired you to start running?
Probably my sister, actually. She was the winner of this school mile race that we have, actually. It's a super weird story. They have to do it for gym class every year. And it's this huge thing that our school system would put on where we would have this mile race at the end of the school year in around May. And she ended up winning it, never had ran in her life besides in gym class before. And they expected this one girl who was really great and was on the track team already to win it. And everyone thought her name was Kat, actually. And they expected her to win it. And they were like, oh, here comes Kat. She's coming in for the final stretch. And my mom had gone to watch and she was like, oh my God, that's not who they think it is. That's Abby. That's my daughter. And it was kind of crazy. She had never run before, and it was her 8th grade year, and she ended up winning that race. And that kind of got her career kicked off. Track coach pulled her into their office about a week later and showed her all the record books and was like, you're going to do this and you're going to break all these records. And that got her career started. And shortly after that, mine got started. I'm about 5 years younger than her. So I actually started running competitively in 4th grade, which is crazy. But my school had an elementary school program, and we're a huge school system. So we had about 8 elementary schools, and we would have weekly races against each other. And we would have training programs and coaches. And it was very fun, very low key, but it was a really, really awesome introduction into the sport. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since then.
That's a really awesome story. I like how you have so much inspiration behind what you do. As your journey progressed, did running evolve into a source of wellness and self-care in your own life?
I would say definitely. It had a huge impact on me as a person. I believe that a lot of my competitive drive comes from running. I always played a ton of sports as a kid. I was always the kid that was in everything. I did gymnastics, I did competition cheerleading, I did softball, I did everything that you could do. But I think that running was always love for me. It was a way to push myself, mentally and physically. I get a lot out of it for sure. And it definitely has opened up doors for me. Mentally, I've just seen myself grow so much through the sport. I have done things that I never, ever thought that I could do before because of it. And I feel like I get a lot of my perseverance from the sport. But I guess more than that, when I am struggling with something, I tend to go for a run without headphones. And that is a super big mental break for me. I just get to let my mind run for miles or however long that run is going to be that day. And it is really a very calming and therapeutic thing for me.
So you said that you like to go for your runs without headphones sometimes. Are there other ways that you're able to stay mentally strong and push through any discomfort that you might have?
I think definitely the no headphones thing is the biggest thing. I think that you definitely, as a runner, probably get this, and other people would too, that music is like a huge benefit when you're running, I would say. Like you get a lot of energy from it, and you can kind of distract yourself with that or other things. But the no headphones thing is kind of just, it's just you and your thoughts out there. And I think that doing that is my biggest mental strengthening tool, because all I get to think about is my breathing and how I'm feeling, and pushing through those thoughts of, am I going to get through this workout? Am I going to get through this run? Man, I feel crappy today, but all I can do is tell myself that I've done this before, or even if I haven't, I get to tell myself that I trust my training and that I am ready to do this. One thing I like to really do is tell myself that I'm out here already. I already put myself in this situation, so let's get through it. Let's keep pushing, and let's work hard and just focus on my breathing and my body and taking care of the little things, like not breathing too aggressively and not focusing too much on the pain, and focusing on how I can push through.
And that's a great perspective to have on the sport. I know running often has a way of teaching us valuable life lessons. So can you share a personal experience where running taught you something about resilience, discipline, or even just self-care in general?
My running career has not been one that has been unchallenged, for sure. I've dealt a lot with injury ever since my freshman year of college. I think that that has taught me more resilience than I honestly would like to have sometimes, but it's all good to have. But I have basically been struggling with injury ever since my freshman year. I've had knee issues, shin issues, back issues, like anything in the book that you can think of, I've probably dealt with it. I've gone to physical therapy and tried all of these different crazy things to get rid of injury and also prevent it. But I think that at the end of the day, it's taught me so much about myself, not just as a runner, but as a person. I am now a junior in college, and, I'm still coming back from injury and working very hard every day. But I think that it's something that was necessary for me to go through. Because it's taught me so much about how to be resilient in everything I do. I know that I work incredibly hard at school because of it, and work incredibly hard in any job that I've had because of it. Because one thing I can tell you is, anything else that life has to throw at me, man, my running career has put me through worse with injury. So it's definitely a tool that I get to keep in my back pocket, is that resiliency from the injury.
And I know that through each of our trials, success in running can mean different things to different people. So how do you define success in your running journey? And has your perspective on success changed over time?
Absolutely. When I started off high school running, I was automatically in the top 3 to 5 people on the team. Just as a freshman, I was breaking 20 minutes in the 5K, which is pretty good for a freshman girl. I was, doing great things, and I was progressing almost every race. I was PRing almost every single race from like freshman through sophomore year. And that was great. I focused a lot on my training, and I had this really amazing mentality where I just felt like if I could do the training, then I could do any pace that I set my mind to. And that worked for me for so long. I felt honestly like invincible when it came to racing. It was a fantastic feeling, quite honestly. But then by the time my junior year cross country season came around, our first opening season race, I ran my PR by like 0.6 of a second. So that was great. I was really set up for a great season, I felt like. And then I ended up getting sick and I didn't know what it was for so long. I was so tired all the time and I didn't know what was going on. I ended up dealing with sickness and with ferritin level issues and all sorts of issues my junior year cross country season. And then was finally getting through that and getting back into training. And then COVID hit and my junior year track season was just gone like that, which was really nuts. I had always been told, this is it. This is your junior year track season. Like, this is the biggest recruiting time. This is when it's going to happen for you. Like, I had knew how hard I worked. My coach had knew how hard I worked. Everyone knew it, and I was ready to do it. I was ready to drop some crazy times, and then it was just taken away from me, it felt like. And I had to really build a whole new perspective on running. I took time off during the winter, which is when we had found out that we wouldn't have a season anymore. And I really didn't know what I was going to do next. And by the time I knew it, I was hating the sport. I was running 3-4 miles a day and just not understanding what it was for, not knowing why. My coach was still sending me workouts. I was doing them, but my heart wasn't in it. And I really took a huge mental step backwards in my mentality towards the sport. And I ended up getting back on track my senior year. It was tough because we only ever raced at our home course, still dealing with a lot of COVID restrictions and everything like that. We even ended up hosting our regional meet at the home course, which was crazy. But we raced there probably 10 times that season, and I was training well, but I still felt that my heart wasn't in it. And I wasn't even sure that I was going to do it in college at that point. I had always thought there was like no other doubt in my mind. Like, I'd given up other sports to do cross and track, and I was going to do that in college, and I knew it. And at this point, I had gone to my mom at the end of my senior year of cross season, and I told her, I don't know if I can keep doing this anymore. I was just so mentally exhausted from all of the restrictions and everything that had been taken away from me as far as, recruiting and my season and all of these things that, I was promised by my coach and the people around me because I had worked so hard. And I felt defeated. But I luckily had my parents tell me, you still should do it in college. And I listened, and I ended up going to signing with Saginaw Valley State University in my senior year, and told them that I would run for them. And I started out there, and I think that it was not a good experience there, but I think that I fell back in love with running. I got with the team, and I remembered why I wanted to do it. And then I started to have some really good workouts, and I started to have some just really insane mileage days where I felt like this is going to be it. This is going to get me back. And I loved the sport again. And I got to that point again, and then I got hurt. I had never really dealt with injury before that, so it was pretty traumatic for me. I probably took a couple months off of just training. And ever since then, I've had like a different outlook on running, because I felt like I was just right back in that spot that I was my senior year, where I was like, I don't know what this is all for. I don't know why I'm doing it anymore. But I kept going. I kept training with the team. I had ran for so long, I didn't know anything else. And I was like, I need to find why this is still important to me, because I know I'm not ready to give it up. And then I found a different purpose in my training. I felt good just running, and not because I was having some crazy mileage day where I was dropping 6:30s at the end of a long run, or I was keeping up with those top 7 girls who were all, juniors and seniors on Saginaw's team, but because it made me feel accomplished. And that is how my outlook on running has changed. It's gone from the time goals and the standard of, you've worked this hard, so you get this. That's not my running journey anymore. And it hasn't been for honestly all of my college career. Now it's about how it makes me feel as a person and how I get to support my teammates who are doing just incredible things. I get to watch all of them do absolutely incredible things while I do incredible things as well. It may not look the same as far as time or as far as, accomplishments and PRs and things like that. But I've dealt with so much injury that I get to help my teammates, learn about those things and help them take care of their bodies and help them when they're struggling with issues or not understanding something about the training. I've really taken on like a whole new role as an athlete, and it's been really rewarding to help others and see them grow, but also see myself grow through that as well.
That's such an incredible testimony. And I know your journey shows how those motivations can change over time, especially when you're finding yourself in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard because it's like I always tied my career for so long to, the times I was running and the places I was going. Like, was I going to go to a D1 college and run? And was I going to break 18 minutes in the 5K or break into the 18 minutes in the 5K? And could I do this at this meet? And my team qualified for cross country states 4 years in a row while I was there, which was just a fantastic accomplishment for all of us. But I also realize now how draining that was and how a lot of the worth I tied myself to as a runner was about time and was about taking that next step as an athlete. But now it's more about it's more of a personal journey, which is even more rewarding than I ever thought it could be.
And finding that balance between pushing our limits and avoiding burnout or injury is so crucial in our sport. How do you personally find that balance?
I wouldn't say I find it very well, as I would think any runner who was being honest with themselves, who has done this as long as I have. I mean, I've been doing this for 12 years now, could say that you are going to feel burnout and you are honestly just not going to feel good about the sport. Sometimes you're going to feel like, I don't know why I do this to my body. I feel 50 years old at 20 sometimes. My hips don't move right and my knees lock up and my ankles lock up, and I sometimes don't know why I put myself through it. But then I get to look at all of the things I've done for myself through the sport and with my team through the sport. And it's just incredible to look back on and to look forward to, which is even bigger. I get to look forward to, maybe I'm not going to PR at this meet, but what's that next step that I'm going to take? What's going to make me feel accomplished? Is that if I cheer on every single one of my teammates, or is that if I run a 10-second PR, which is honestly, it varies at some meets, but it's all part of it. And I feel so much more empowered now that I feel that I get to pick my goals as an athlete. It's not all just what people think I should be doing or what I even feel that I should be doing at some points, because obviously as a runner, you always want to PR and you always want to be taking your training to that next level. But sometimes that's just not in the cards for you. And you have to find those little motivations to keep yourself going.
You were talking a little bit about finding those motivations. How can others start cultivating mental strength and self-care, good habits that will serve them throughout their running journey?
Man, I would say the biggest things are to take care of yourself. For me, that is done through a lot of self care, as in like finding little things that make me happy. For a long time, it was getting my nails done. I would take some time for myself every, 3, 4 weeks, and I would go and I wouldn't like say I was going to do that. I would just go take that time that I needed for myself and do something that made me feel good about myself and was just kind of like an act of service for myself. And I think that finding those little joys is super, super important. If you need to take some time and read a book or, go to Target by yourself and look at clothes, even if you're, not going to buy anything, and just little things that, remind you of when you were younger or just make you happy now are super important to find. For me, it was always like a fun little game for me and a little escape. And I think finding those things is super important. And even though a lot of times college runners can say, well, I don't have time to be doing things like that. That's probably very true. But if you don't take that time away for yourself, you are going to feel so burnt out. And at a certain point, you have to take that time.
So as we close out today, if you could offer one piece of advice to the listener, what would it be and why is it so important to you?
I think that for anyone who, is on any type of injury journey with their training right now or has been injured, anyone struggling with something like that, it's important to know that your self-worth is more than that time that you see on the clock. Is honestly like not something that you can always get away from. But if you can find those little joys that make running worth it to you and find those people that make it worth it to you, then you're golden. And then running is something that you can have for the rest of your life, which is pretty awesome to say.
Well, thank you so much, Alyssa, for sharing your insights and experiences. It's been truly inspiring, for me at least, and I know it will be for the audience. I'm sure our listeners will walk away today with a better grasp on what it means to train our minds within the sport.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks for joining us today on the Footnotes podcast. If you found value in today's episode, feel free to share it with someone you know. And don't forget to follow for more mindful content. Until next time, keep growing your mentality with each and every step.